Do you struggle with being an angry mom? I did. In this video, we're going to talk about why you're getting angry, and there are multiple reasons why you're getting angry, and we're going to put you in the position where you can start learning how to stop being an angry mom. How do you break free of the cycle of being angry, yelling at your kids, feeling guilty, apologizing, and then rinse and repeating and doing the whole thing all over again? This was the story of my life. I was an angry mom. I learned how to not be an angry mom. So today we're going to dive into how to stop this cycle of anger and yelling at your kids. And I'm not beating you up for being an angry mom. We all struggle with yelling at our kids at times, but if this is a consistent problem, then we want to examine, why am I being angry? What's going on here? What's going on below the surface? And so this stems from something that I struggled with when my kids were young. I got tired of apologizing. I got tired of having to say, sorry, I yelled at you. Lord, please forgive me. Help me to do better. I began asking, why am I struggling with anger? So let's dive into this video. But before we do, in the description box below, you'll find a link to the self-awareness checklist, which is going to help you to start identifying emotions. And identifying emotions is the beginning of emotional regulation. So you can download that for free and get started with learning all about yourself and why you get angry. All right, so let's dive in and figure out, where's this all coming from? The number one reason that you may be struggling with anger is that you are frustrated because your kids aren't listening to me. Now, for me, this was one of the biggest reasons. It was a huge factor for my anger. And it wasn't my kids' fault, it was mine. Because I wasn't making expectations clear, I wasn't following through, I wasn't getting their attention and saying, it's time now for us to do this. And it was just me that wasn't doing the training right. So I would speak and no one would listen. Of course, I'd get angry and frustrated. And this is one of the things that I see a lot in the Facebook groups. This is the most common question. How do I get my kids to listen to me? Nobody's listening to me. This is a common frustration. And the solution to that is a topic for another day. I will deal with that in a future video. But let me know in the comments if this is something that you struggle with. Number 2, you're not taking charge of your territory. All right, so if you're living by the seat of your pants, then your life is likely a little bit chaotic, like mine was. And this can lead to frustration and irritation because your surroundings are not orderly, neat and tidy, organized. You don't have a schedule, you don't have a plan, you're just living. And that will create frustration and irritation in yourself, but it's also going to make your kids harder to manage. So there's something to pay attention to there. If you're not taking charge of your territory, this is going to be a problem, and we'll discuss that in a future video as well. All right, number 3, you grew up in an angry household. Possibly your example of conflict resolution was one of, we yell, we shout, we throw things, and you've maybe been programmed to resolve conflict in the same way. Without even thinking about it, you're doing what you saw done in your own home. All right, number 4 is you're doing too much. Being a mom is challenging at the best of times, but when you're tired and weary, it's really easy to lose your cool and yell at your kids. So maybe you need to cut out a few things, few of those extracurricular things, and just slow your life down a little bit so that you can see if that helps your anger levels. Okay, number 5. You don't know how to regulate your emotions, and this was a reality for me. I did not know how to regulate my emotions. I couldn't even tell you at the time what I was feeling in the moment. And this is why I've given you the self-awareness checklist. Check that in the description box below and go and download it for yourself. It's going to help you learn to name your emotions, because that is the beginning place for emotional regulation. So perhaps you were never taught how to deal with your own emotions, and you just act on whatever you're feeling. Whatever comes up is what you go with. We need to take time to examine our inner processes and recognize, you know what, I'm beginning to feel a little frustrated here. Why is that? Let me take myself to one side, deal with myself first so that I can come back and deal with my kids in a calm manner. Number 6, you're giving too much grace. You're giving too much grace. So you're trying to be too nice. You're trying to be the one that's liked by your kids. You're trying to be your child's friend. And you don't lay down any rules, and you don't set any boundaries with your children. And the reality is that your anger is letting you know that you are actually internally feeling like your unspoken boundaries are being crossed, but you've just you're squashing those and you're pretending they don't exist. Anger is the result very often of boundaries being crossed. So as a mom, you are called to be a leader in your home. You're not called to be a friend. Yes, we want to have fun with our kids. We want to get down on the floor and play with them. But at the same time, you do need to maintain your authority in your home so that you are not just being walked over and allowing your children to do whatever they want. You are the one that needs to pull in the reins and be in charge here. Number 7, you're not getting alone time. And if you're an introvert, serious point. This was serious for me. I did not do well if I didn't get my alone time. So time for yourself is very important. And as you're told on the aeroplane, when the oxygen mask falls down in an emergency, you put it on your face first and then you help your child. You can't help a child when you yourself are drowning or not breathing or whatever. So you've got to take time to rejuvenate yourself, to restore your energy so that you've got energy and mind space and emotional bandwidth to even have the desire to want to be with your kids, to be present with your kids. All right, so you do need to make sure that you get some time alone. Somewhere, somehow, you got to squeeze that in. All right, number 8, you're stuck in negative thinking. You may be feeling unstimulated as a mom, and let's face it, it can be challenging. It is challenging. But you could be wishing you could just hurry up and get over these years of child rearing, or you're thinking thoughts like, why does this have to be so hard, or I can't wait for these kids to grow up, or no one ever listens to me, no one cares about me. And so work on harnessing those negative thinking patterns and insert some positive thinking instead, like, you know what, this is not going to last forever. I can do this. God is on my side. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. All right. Number 9, you're worried about something completely unrelated to your children. And because you're worried about something, that it builds and builds, and then somebody does something and you fly off the handle. It may be finances that you're worried about. It may be friendship. It may be extended family struggles. It could be issues between you and your husband. It could be, who knows, a long list of things that you could be anxious and worried about. We need to learn to surrender those anxieties to our God, the God who cares for us, the God who's on our side, the God who doesn't see anything as too big or too small for him to handle. One of my favorite quotes says, and this is something that I began to do many years ago, it says this: whatever arises to disturb or distress us, take it to the Lord in prayer. Whatever arises to disturb, which is just a mild disturbance, it's not such a big thing. That's a little thing. You can take that to him. And distress us, that's big stuff. The dramas, the big crises. We can take the small stuff and the big stuff to God and leave it with him. Allow him to carry your burdens. Matthew 11:28-30. Allow him to carry your burdens. Yoke up with him. Bring your burdens to him and just leave them at his feet. So that your anxiety and your worries are not going to be translated into your relationship, transferred to your relationship with your children. That happened to me a lot. And part of the reason it happened was because I wasn't regulating my own emotions. I wasn't aware of my internal processes of what's going on inside me right now. Why am I feeling anxious? It's actually not the kids that's bothering me. It's something else that I'm worried about. And so start paying attention to what's going on inside of you. Number 10, reasons here for why you are an angry mom. Number 10 is you're allowing your kids to manipulate you. If your kids are getting away with stuff, manipulating you, saying things like, you don't love me, and I've heard these, or if you loved me, you'd let me XYZ. If you're experiencing this, then you may subconsciously feel that your boundaries are being crossed, and anger is the natural result of that. So you need to tackle these things head on, deal with them. Don't allow yourself to be manipulated by your children. Number 11, you feel unappreciated by your family. Maybe you're doing a lot, and we do a lot, moms. We do a lot. If you feel like you're the only one doing everything and no one is valuing your input, no one's helping you, you feel like you're not getting the support you need, this could make you be angry. And you can have angry outbursts because that feeling just gets overwhelming at times. Just a quick tip here, how to deal with this. Number one, accept that your lot in life is the one of giving and serving. And I'm not saying you've got to be a doormat, but as moms, what helped me a lot was just to realize, you know what? This is what it takes to be a mom. This is what it takes. Get over it, girl. Get tough and brave and strong. But at the same time, that doesn't mean you can't ask for help. So number two is ask for help. Ask your husband. Get your kids to help you. Don't be the slave and the drudge to the family. And number three, which is tied into what I've just said, is consider that you're possibly doing too much for everyone. Maybe there's some things that they could be doing for themselves and that you should stop doing for them. Okay, last point in why you're an angry mom. You have unresolved trauma. And anger is often the result of unresolved trauma. And so your anger could be based on a current situation. It feels like it's based on a current situation, but it could be that this current situation is actually triggering something from your past that is magnifying that emotion and making it way bigger than it needs to be and than it should be. So processing your trauma is going to help you become more peaceful and less angry. Okay, so in part 2, we're going to discuss how to stop being angry. So keep an eye out for that video. In the meantime, don't forget to download your free self-awareness checklist. That'll be in the description box below so that you can start learning to regulate your own emotions and take control of your inner processes so that you can stop being the angry person and the angry one in the family. So that's it for today. Until next time, keep growing.